Well, welcome to Microbiology 275. Um, I'm Sherry Bowen. I'm your instructor for this course, and I'm going to cut out my picture at some point in time. But I wanted to introduce you to Micro. Um, Hopefully, you guys, some of you will attend the introduction session, but if you don't, I'm going to go through the course and go through everything with you. I know some of you have had me for A&P, so um, you should be pretty familiar with this, but we're now into Canvas. We're not on Moodle anymore. So this is a big change for everybody. So bear with me. I'll bear with you guys. I'm sure most of you guys with the public school are familiar with Canvas. For us that have been teaching at the college level, I've never taught on Canvas before, but I've built the course, so I'm pretty familiar with it. But bear with me as we muddle our way through this first semester with Canvas. So when you come in and get into the course, this is what you should see as the home. The most important thing really is checking the announcements on a regular basis. I will put reminders up. Any changes that occur, any changes in due dates, excuse me, anything like that, I will put out an announcement. Any due dates coming up, I'll automatically 2 days before the due date will put a reminder saying, this assignment is due in 2 days or whatever it may be. And then the day it's due, I will put out another announcement and say, it's due by midnight tonight. Okay. I hold pretty close to these deadlines. Certain deadlines we'll talk about are hard and fast, and I don't make any changes to them. Others, obviously, if you're sick or something's going on, or I have a test date and my test date is from this date to this date, and you're working, two double shifts those days, you just have to communicate with me. The main thing with being in an online class, since I'm not seeing you in a personal basis, is you've got to talk to me. If there's something I need to know, if there's something going on, take 2 seconds and shoot me an email. Let me know what's going on, because that way I can keep track of what's going on. I can make adjustments if need be. And I don't mind doing that because I want you to be successful in the course. But if you just take off and leave me hanging, I don't know what to do. And then I'm going to be sending a little note, to your advisor going, I haven't heard from this person and I don't know how long, and I don't know what's going on. So stay in touch with me and I'll show you how. But these announcements are important because this is me telling you when things are due. Okay. So you have the course overview. So that's where this is going to be. And I will post a little welcome note in a few days, but this is being recorded obviously before. This is your syllabus, and you can see there's course summaries. There's already due dates already put in for the first part of the course. But this is your syllabus. And most important things here is that's me. That's my name. I don't have an office. I'm an adjunct instructor, so I do not have an office. I can meet with you via Zoom. I can meet with you live if you want to, determine a time. I have met live with students. I can meet through, Canvas. I've done Zooms with advisors present, whatever. You just have to let me know if you need help. That's my email address. So there you've got it right there. Email response will be within 24 hours. When I have a class going, I am on the course every day. I don't care whether it's a holiday, a weekend, whatever. Unless I'm really, really ill, I'm on the course. Okay. So you'll find out that I'm not one of these people that when something is due to be graded or anything, you're going to wait several days for me to do it because that's just not me. I get on the course every day and I grade whatever you guys have done for that day. And even the tests, whatever the day the tests open, the next morning, I'll grade any of the tests were done that day. Okay. And we'll go through that. So, I'll be on the course within 24 hours, weekends, holidays, I don't care. Just email me. All right. You can look at your outcomes, but basically, what we're looking at is microbiology. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about myself in a few minutes, but by profession, I was a laboratory supervisor, laboratory director, and I worked in the laboratory in hematology, blood bank, and microbiology. So, the students coming into this course, you are healthcare professional want-to-be's or are a healthcare professional trying to move up in a step or maybe change. And so I gear this course to healthcare. I spent 25 years in the laboratory, and then I spent 26 years teaching at college level. But these things that I'm going to be teaching you are from my experience, my actual seeing what has come in and working with these specimens and stuff like that. So what I'm giving you is I'm not giving you stuff that that's just extraneous and is not going to be used. I'm trying to give you the stuff that I think is going to prepare you for your career. Okay. So we will be looking at these cells. We'll kind of go through this. We'll be looking at these organisms. We'll be looking at how we grow them out in the lab and why you have to take care of certain specimens. We'll be looking at specific and non-specific immunity. Now if you've had AP2, you've had that, but we're going to look at the micro side of it versus the body side of it. We're going to look at epidemiology. This is important. Think about the cyclosporin out right now. Okay. So we'll look at that kind of stuff. We'll look at viruses, how they replicate. Then we're going to start in with the different organisms. We're going to look at protists, worms, that's helminths, fungi, bacteria. We're going to look at antibiotics, vaccines. We're going to look at a big problem, which is the antibiotic resistant bacteria out there. And then we're going to close the course out by going system by system and looking at what is the normal flora that exists in these systems and some of the diseases that you may see. So I really am gearing this towards healthcare professionals. Okay. So here's the grading policy. There's no required textbook for the lab. I've got the micro textbook. I've got to put that in there. I forgot. You have a micro textbook. It's okay. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. It's not the best textbook in the world. I'll be very honest with you. I only, I have it as the textbook because that's what the college has, but I don't like the organization of the textbook. So if you want to save yourself some money, forget it. Okay. And I'm going to provide you everything that you need for the lab. So really, everything you need, I'm going to give you here on the course. Grading, you have 4 exams. So 10% for each one. And I'll go through that with you. You'll have 3 lab practicals. You'll have some laboratory exercises to do. And you'll have a case study. And that's going to be on vaccines. Don't even go there. Okay. So you can see that little grading policy there. Okay, let me see if I can get out of here now. It's hard to do on. Okay, So that's your course syllabus. And then when you go into your modules, this will have disappeared. But this is about your instructor. That's about me. Yeah. I just said, I was retired from teaching in Florida. I taught for 20 years, primarily AMP and micro. If you ever go in the micro lab at the Brevard campus, there's a laboratory manual there written by me. I worked in physician's office, group practices, reference labs, blood banks, stem cell transplant center. I was, licensed in these areas. I've got a good background in microbiology for you guys. Okay, that's a mini biography. All right, so that's me. And go back here because it's hard for me as an instructor to switch back and forth here. Now, you can look at the student policies and procedures. You have a syllabus confirmation quiz. I just found out the date on that it's due. I'm going to close it out like the 24th. I'll put a date in here. This is the one thing you have to do almost immediately. You must complete the syllabus confirmation quiz. It's 9 questions. It's simple. You don't get a grade on it. It doesn't affect your grade. I don't care if you get them all wrong. It doesn't. It's the fact that you completed it. It's a requirement by the state that shows that you have come on this course and you have done something in the course. So if you do not complete this by the completion date, you get removed from the class. Okay, we don't have any other choice. So this is a state requirement. So please go in and just get this done as soon as you possibly can. When it starts getting towards the due date and you haven't done it, you're going to be getting emails from me reminding you. Okay, that's the only one you absolutely have to do if you have not done the Blue Ridge Police or the solo for the camp. This one's going to have to come out because verification quiz, but they're changing it out and you'll have a new one in there by the time I get there. As a professor, this is where you can ask any questions. This is a area where if you've got a question about anything on the course, post it. Check these. As a fellow student, your fellow students may have the same question. Maybe you don't understand something. You got something, on the test review, because I give a test review, and you don't understand something, post it. I just don't understand what you're asking for. I will check these daily, and I will answer these. Do not post things about questions about your grades or anything like that, because I'm not going to answer them. Anything personal, I'm not going to answer here. I will delete it and then email you. So any question about the course, anything about requirements or anything that may go there, that's fine. But anything personal doesn't go here. But yeah, if you've got a question, you don't understand what the assignment is, or maybe you don't understand a concept, post it up here. I'll be glad to answer it for you. Okay. All right. And then you'll notice we're organized by weeks. I just opened everything up so you can see it. Once you get through the first week, it's organized exactly the same every single week. Okay, exactly the same. So it's not going to be a problem for you. All right. So the first thing you'll see when you open it up is I have it by week to make it easier. So about the week of August 17th, this is your first week. So we open that up and it's locked. Yeah, it's locked for the student. Hold on a second. Let me leave the student view and go to me. Sorry, you see, I get a whole bunch more. Yeah, I've got it locked because of, sorry, guys. All right, so if we go August 17th, this is what it looks like. And you'll see this week is an introduction, both the lecture and the lab. You should start reviewing prokaryotes video and notes. That's just a start. And it says your learning objectives for the week. Review the video with the notes. Review the introduction to the micro lab. Review the video. It's for microbiology lab sections 1 and 2, lab safety. And then review this prokaryotic video, blah, blah, blah. And the note is you will finish this next week, so you don't have to do the entire presentation this week. And then review exam 1 study guide. And I put there the week of September 7th is when the exam is. And then the material for the lab practical, that will be the week of September 21st. So I'm telling you when these are. But as you want to print these out so that as you're going through this material, you make sure you're covering what I've got on there, okay? I mean, a lot of people wait until the last minute to start studying for the exams. I'm going to be honest with you guys. That's not the way to study for this, okay? It's not the way to study for ENP. It's not the way to study for micro. Start from the very beginning. Start yourself off right. Print that study guide. Find out what I think is important. And as you're going through this material and as you're going through the video, write this stuff down or highlight on the notes because I'm providing you notes, okay? Highlight on the notes and get that ready, okay? Same thing with the material for the lab practical. What does she think is important? What do I have to know? What do I have to look at this week? All right, and so that's why I provided you these study guides so that you can look at this stuff, okay? All right, so let me go back out and make it easier for myself here. All right, so this is then, here's your introduction to your microbiology notes. I'm going to switch this around. This is Intro to Microbiology. This is an embedded link. I have done every lecture for this course, and I have loaded it to YouTube, and it's embedded, okay? I'm going to sneeze here. Sorry, guys. Maybe I can't. Okay, so if you open it up, it will be an intro to micro. And then I've got the notes right here with you. This is a Word document. So you've got a Word document that goes along with the lecture. Sometimes there's a little more information in the notes than there are in the exact lecture that I'm doing. So I would combine these two. Look at what I'm lecturing about, but also don't forget the stuff that's in the notes. Okay? So that's the lecture piece of your first week, is just introducing you to microbiology. What is microbiology? And you have a lecture and you have the notes. So you've got a video and that's the link to the video, and you've got written notes to work with, okay? Underneath that, we're going to have the lab portion, all right? So same thing, you have just a document, the general lab safety rules for microbiology, which are a little bit different because, if you were actually going into the lab, we work with pathogenic organisms, all right? So there's general lab safety rules that I want you guys to know. This is not me lecturing, but I found a really good tour of the microbiology lab that somebody did. So I want you to take a look at those videos. There's section 1 and section 2. I found it pretty entertaining. Tried to find stuff that would entertain you guys. Okay, so that's really your first week. And then as I mentioned, you want to start looking at prokaryotic cells. You're not going to finish this until next week. Okay, but there is the PowerPoint lecture. There is the video link. And there are the notes. So exactly the same as I did here. And this is what you can expect for every single lecture that I'm giving you. Okay. If you have any problems, if there's problems with the videos or something happens with them, because I'm not going to check them every single day. If you start to have problems, send me an email. Let me know the link's broken or something, and I'll get them, reloaded. Okay. So that's your first week. All right. So let's go down back. I'll just close this back up. And we'll look at the 24th. Okay. And if I can open it up. Same thing. Okay. Here you open up the week. and it'll tell you it's exactly the same. This week, we're going to finish prokaryotic cells. We're also going to cover microbial growth. And in the lab, you'll be introduced to microscopes, bacterial shapes, on and on and on. So this is finished reviewing the prokaryotic cell video. Get done with that. And then there's a video and notes on microbial growth. Okay? And then for the lab, you have a PowerPoint video and microscopy, how to work a microscope and some of those things. And then I have a video of how to use a microscope. Hopefully some of you guys and all of you guys have used one, but still got to do it. I've got a little microbiology lab exercise for you guys to complete for a grade. And then I want you to review the PowerPoint and video on bacterial shapes. We're going to start talking about what do bacteria look like underneath the microscope. So it would be as if you were walking into the lab and looking at this. And then I have a little exercise for you guys to do again for a grade. And then review the video on smear prep and staining. So there's a lot of lab stuff going this particular week. All right. But, if you don't get it all finished in the week, it's okay. I mean, you've got more time. Again, look at that study guide. Look at the lab practicals. So go back. And then I'll show you where they are, but they are listed. This is telling you where those are. So go and print them. Okay. So let me go back up here. All right. So if you go here, you'll see there's your prokaryotic cells again. I didn't make you go back up to the 17th to pick it up. So you can pick it up here. There's the cells. There's the video. There's the notes. This microbial growth that I wanted you to start. It's not real long. It just shows you how microbes grow. All right. There's the video. There's the notes. And then here's the lab stuff. So there's the microscopy lab video, PowerPoint, how to use a light microscope, a step-by-step guide in case you haven't ever done this. There's a little exercise for you to complete to make sure you understand what you've done. And then again, there's the PowerPoint on the bacterial shapes, the video on bacterial shapes, me going through it. And then to make sure you understand that and kind of reinforce these shapes, because it becomes real important that you understand what a bacillus is and what a cocci is and what a vibrio is and, that kind of stuff. And what is a diplococci and what is a chain? What is a cluster? It becomes very important because that's how we describe these bacteria. All right. And you will see these in bacterial reports that come to the floors. And then how do we stain? How do we prepare these smears and how do we stain them? And again, this is going to be somebody else showing you. This is not me, but the bacterial shapes and everything is, and that's your lab. And this continues on every week just like that. All right. And so you've got basically lecture activities, lab activities, and then you may have an exercise to reinforce what we were doing in lab. So what I've tried to do is come up with an exercise that will put you in that lab, okay? And then if you look at September 7th, Exam 1 Study Guide, there it is, okay? Now, if you open this up, we'll open this up. It's very specific. Exam 1 will consist of 50 questions, 2 points each. Below you will find a summary. If you turn this study guide in by the due date and complete all questions, you will receive 5 points extra credit on the exam. This is the only extra credit I give in the course. So don't ask me for any more extra credit. Don't do it. What I'm trying to get you to do is go through this study guide. The due date for this is the day before the exam opens. So you have to have this done before the exam opens. Why? So you can study with it. Okay? So list the scientists and their discoveries that were covered in the video and the notes. List Koch's postulates. Why are they important? List the basic differences between bacteria, algae, fungi, viruses, and protozoans. Okay, protist, blah, 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 blah. Microbial growth. So what I've got is each section. This is the introduction. That was in the introduction. Then you had a prokaryote lecture. This is what I wanted you to make sure you know. And then you have a microbial growth lecture. And here's exactly what I do. So list and do this in microbial growth. If you go and do this, you will get through this test. Okay? So again, go back up here, September 7th. I know this is kind of hard because I got everything open. Normally, right there, study guide submission. If you submit that, you'll see it says September 6th. Right? You submitted by midnight, September 6th, and you have completed all those questions and everything looks good. Make an honest effort I mean, if you're just answering, put little one-line answers, and you're not going to get credit for it. Again, this is a study guide to help you get through the material so that you are prepared for this test. Okay? There's lecture exam 1. Now, you won't see the respondents in here yet because they haven't loaded it. So I'll have to put a little video about respondents when we get to here. But these are proctored exams. Okay? I may choose at some point in time to do one exam unproctored. What can I say? I haven't decided yet because we haven't seen the respondents yet because it hasn't come in. I'm doing this about 3 weeks before school starts. So there's your lecture exam. It's all ready. It's 50 questions, as I said. 2 points, it's multiple choice, or I may have a true false or something like that, or I may have a matching. You never know in there what I'm going to pull out. Okay. All right. And then again, I will, that opens on the 7th, September 7th. I will grade anybody that does any work on the 7th, on the 8th. If you can't take the test on the 7th, 8th, or 9th, you have to let me know and I can make some adjustments. All right. Then that's September 14th. I think it's the next week. And you keep going. It's 21st. There's your lab practical. There it is. Material practical 1. Okay. So go down and pick it up. And if you open this up, you will see it'll come up. Okay. There are short answer essay questions and practical slides. Okay. So the short answer, know lab safety procedures, know the difference between resolution and contrast, know why we do environmental cultures, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Practical slides, be able to recognize a basic bacterial shape. So you remember the little exercises that I pointed out about bacterial shapes? You're going to have some, and it's going to say, name the shape of this bacteria. Be able to read a gram stain. Well, that's one of the acids we're going to get in there. All right, be able to read an acid fast. And it'll make sense as we get through and go through the course. But I'm telling you exactly what's on the test. And as long as you get and go and do that, then you'll be in good shape. Okay? So let me go on down here. And that's going to continue for the rest of the course. You can see there's your acid fast and there's this. Okay? The one thing I wanted to point out, get here, it's going to look exactly the same. You can see how that epidemiology is. Again, the same thing. We're looking at viruses. There's your lab exercise. Protist lab. Again, you can see this submission guide. I'm giving it to you for every test. All right. There's your worms. There's your lab exercise. And go through these lab exercises again. This is what's going to be on the lab exam. Those pictures. Now, I want to point this out. This is the case study. There's a lot of controversy about vaccines. You guys are going to be healthcare professionals. You may get a lot of questions on vaccines. I don't know your feelings about vaccines. That's, to me, irrelevant at this point. But we're seeing obviously a rise in measles. We didn't use that. I mean, we're about ready to lose our certification as having measles eradicated, which is not a good thing. Okay. I grew up at a time when we didn't have vaccines, and I got to have all these childhood diseases, and let me tell you, they're not fun. And I have a cousin who had polio, and he's now dealing with the post effects from it. So some of these vaccines are important. And so what I've done is this is a vaccine assignment that I'm going to do because I want you to understand. I mean, micro is vaccines. We use vaccines. All right. To vaccinate or not to vaccinate, that is the question. All right. This case study presents the issues facing parents when they need to begin vaccination series for their child, and also as an adult. Are you going to take a vaccine, the adult vaccines? I mean, do you take the shingles vaccine? Do you do this vaccine? All right, what are the issues raised? Is this vaccination necessary? What are the consequences of natural infection? Do microorganisms cause asymptomatic infections or diseases? On and on and on. So there's some questions that I want you to answer, okay? And sorry it goes off like this. This is the accessibility stuff. It kind of moves it to the sides. But these are questions that I want you to think about. What kinds of vaccines are available? What are the advantages, okay? So these are the questions I want you to answer. The assignment is, in order to address this, you will individually research information on a vaccine. I'm going to put up a little discussion in there for you to sign up for your vaccine. I have a list of vaccines that you may choose from. You will choose one vaccine, okay? And you will answer these questions. You will prepare a written response that will be loaded into the discussion area. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go in there and you're going to say, I claim this vaccine. Once that vaccine is claimed, nobody else can have that vaccine, okay? I gave you some source pages, all right? But you have to address this. Describe the typical symptoms. What are the serious sequelae, complications caused by this disease? So if you're doing, say, like polio, what are the typical symptoms of polio? What are some of the complications? Is serious disease primarily a problem only in kids, or is it adults or the elderly? What kind of vaccine prep is available? Is it a live attenuated vaccine, a kill vaccine, a toxoid? You're going to learn the difference. And we're going to go through that. We're going to go through that in a lecture. Are there different kinds of vaccines preparations available? I mean, there are some that, we don't use, but there's some that are available. How long has the current vaccine been available? Okay. And what I want you to look at here is take a look at what has happened, and I have it finish in there. But what I want you to understand is what has happened. What happened? How many cases did we have of this disease prior to these vaccines coming out? People don't realize it, but prior to measles vaccines coming out, we used to have over 1 million cases of measles every year. Every year. And it's gone way, way, way down because of vaccinations. Okay, so I want you guys to take a look at this. So anyway, when you get down there, there's going to be a little place and we'll talk about it. So then there's your protests, there's your vaccines, and there's going to be a little area for you to sign up here. But that's, this is we're talking the end of October here. And we keep going until the end and we get into here. You can see respiratory system. All right, respiratory, still digestive system. We're getting into these diseases, urinary, reproductive tracts. All right, and then we're down at the end. Okay, so that's the course. If you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully you will enjoy this course. Again, I have really geared it towards the medical professionals. And hopefully you will. Let me go back to view as a student so you can see what you can see. But there it is for you guys, and hopefully you will enjoy this, and I'll look forward to meeting y'all. And let's have a good semester, okay? All right, you guys take care.